March 20th marked the date of the release of Season 6 of the Finals. Season 6 brought about many positive changes to the game, such as the permanent return of Team Deathmatch, quick play progression, a new battle pass, and sponsors to grind through, among other things. However, aside from a reworked Las Vegas, there were no new maps added. Additionally, there were no new gadgets and no new specializations added either. This led much of the hype of Season 6 to be aimed squarely at the 3 new weapons being added to the game: the ARN for light class, CBO1 for medium, and the minigun for the heavy class. But how good are these weapons really? Stay tuned to find out, as we're going to take an in-depth look at them, give our honest opinion, and also take community feedback into consideration as well. If you enjoy, please consider smashing a like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the content around. It helps way more than you all know. Embark couldn't put this well. Unfortunately, what got put was their last brain cell. Absolutely useless. Purified liquid booty. Have you ever been pegged? That's what I was gonna say. However, as I was writing scripts and recording footage, Embark released an update where they buffed the ARN. Good news for the weapon, bad news for me. That's what happens when you're working 2 other jobs. The ARN's base damage was increased from 15 to 17, matching the per damage shot of the XP54, which was also buffed going into Season 6. However, the ARN fires at 720 rounds per minute compared to the XP54's 850 rounds per minute. So, how does the ARN perform post-patch? It's still not great, and it fails to find its own area to excel in, especially when we take into consideration the other weapons Light has at its arsenal. The ARN can take out a Light in 9 shots, or in 6 headshots, a medium in 15 shots, or in 10 headshots, and a heavy in 21 shots, or in 14 headshots. Pair this slower time to kill with its fairly aggressive vertical recoil, and you have a weapon that is just meh. At close ranges, you would be better off with the M11 or either shotgun option. At medium range, the XP54 and LH1 outperform it. And at long ranges, again, the LH1 and also the SR84 will just do better at that range. And the unique mechanic that the ARN brought to the table is its dual magazine, fast reload mechanic, and it's just not impactful enough to make up for the shortcomings in the damage and recoil control department. Needing to completely empty your first magazine before getting the quick reload is honestly counterintuitive for this class. Lights are designed to be glass cannons and or skirmisher types, getting in and quickly doing damage or getting picks, then getting out. They aren't meant to be exposing themselves for extended firefights just to get a quick reload in. And conceptually, the quick reload doesn't really even make sense. Why can't I load the second magazine into the weapon, which is already taped into the other magazine, just because I didn't completely empty my first one? But really what this boils down to is that the XP54 just completely outclasses this weapon in its designed role for mid-range engagements. The XP54 does more damage, has a higher round per minute, and has easier to control recoil pattern at range. Until the XP54 is nerfed, or the ARN is buffed, there just really isn't much of a reason to use this weapon other than to switch things up or just goof around. A C-, maybe even D+ tier type of weapon. Next up, the CBO1. And boy howdy, we are switching from a bottom to a top real quick. And I mean a bottom tier weapon to a top tier weapon. What else would you have thought I meant? The CBO1 is a lever action rifle with an ammo capacity of 8. It has a fixed fire rate, meaning you cannot spam it like you could with the LH1 or Pike 5.56, but this does eliminate the need to fight recoil. You just simply need to point and click. To aid with your ability to point and click, the CBO1's iron sights can be traded out for the purchasable sights added in Season 6 with VR currency. The CBO1 does have a fairly lengthy reload time, but if you completely empty the weapon, you will use a speed loader to reload your first 5 shots. So, if you find yourself near empty, it may be beneficial to finish emptying the weapon prior to reloading. The CBO1 does major league damage and fries lights harder than me at a catfish catch and cook. The CBO1 finishes lights in 2 shots, or with 1 headshot and a quick melee. It can finish mediums in 3 shots, or with 2 headshots. And finally, It can finish heavies in 5 shots, 4 shots in a quick melee, or in 3 headshots. The CB01 is a definition of a skill check weapon. In the hands of a good player with great aim, this weapon can be downright oppressive. In a bad player's hands, on the other hand, it's a joke. I think this is going to make the CB01 difficult to balance moving forward, but currently this is an A+ weapon, maybe even borderline S tier. Last but not least, because the ARN already is the least, the minigun. The minigun comes equipped with a massive 260 round ammo capacity and a terrific rate of fire. You are unable to fully aim down sights with this weapon. Aiming causes you to zoom slightly and begin spinning the minigun, which brings me to the first point regarding the minigun. You cannot immediately begin or start returning fire. You have to begin spinning it first. This causes you to be at a massive disadvantage if an enemy catches you by surprise or off guard and gets the first shot off on you. And while spinning the minigun, you move at an absolute snail's pace. There is a way to help compensate for this. If you get the minigun spinning and stop aiming, you can quickly sprint into a slide or a jump and begin spinning the minigun without needing to start from the absolute beginning again. Your timing window for this is relatively short, you can't go too far, but it can help make a difference with taking corners or cover and keeping the minigun relatively ready. The minigun is also quite bad at any kind of range due to the wild bullet spread. I'll again show the recoil/bullet spread on the screen, and you can see just how erratic it is. So where exactly does the minigun fit into the game? I believe it is a fun off-meta niche weapon done well. In open spaces and longer ranges, it's awful. But in close quarters combat, and in close spaces such as buildings, you can absolutely fry some people. You will just need to hardcore play into the strengths of the weapon and have your teammates help support you and feed into the minigun to help make it work. Also, quick aside, something a lot of people don't talk enough about, from what I've seen, is that the minigun is also decent at destroying cover and the environment. It takes about 60 to 70 shots to destroy walls and ceilings, which can help preserve explosive gadgets for the actual gunfight itself. If I had to give the minigun a grade, it would be a C+, maybe B- tier type of weapon. It's not too great, especially as you start to get into ranked competitive modes. It has glaring weaknesses and flaws, but it can excel in the situation it's meant to be in, and it's fun to use. But I am a man of the people. Even though I have a galaxy brain and my opinions are never wrong, I consulted you guys, my YouTube community, and the Reddit final subreddit, just to see how everyone's opinions were regarding these weapons compared to mine. And as it turns out, what I said is pretty based. A majority of people find the ARN to be okay at best and bad at worst. The CB01 is just flat out good, most people love it. And the minigun isn't super good, but it's at least fun to use. I think the CB01 is going to be tricky to balance going forward because honestly, it's pretty balanced by the skill of the player using it. In good players' hands, yes, it feels ridiculous at times, especially with being able to 2-shot lights. But on the other hand, with lever action fixed fire rate and only 8 shots, in average or bad players' hands, this weapon doesn't perform well. The ARN definitely needs some more love. With it being the lower damage output cousin of the XP54, what I would like to see is the recoil patterns of these two weapons flipped. Make the ARN very easy to control at range to make it a slightly lower damage but sustained damage weapon at range, and make the XP54 better at close to shorter medium ranges, being hard to control at those extended medium ranges. This would help give both weapons a little bit of a niche and give and take using them going forward and give some actual incentive to pick one over the other. And the minigun, well, if we're going to be moving at a snail's pace when we're spinning it and have that long startup time for spinning it, I'm not sure we'll ever be very viable at competitive matches. And honestly, that's okay. Not every weapon needs to be strong meta pick. The minigun is still fun to use, and maybe for now that's enough. But let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the content around. But of course, only if you enjoyed. And as always, have a fantastic rest of your day.